Welcome to the NIU Innovation Challenge information session. My name is Becky Swantak. I work here at NIU as a program coordinator in our STEAM program. Previously, I was a teacher at Naperville Central High School for 14 years in the science department, and I also served as a science instructional specialist for Valley View School District for 8 years.
My name is Chrissy Swartz. I'm also an NIU STEAM program coordinator. I've done that for a little over 2 years now. I was a high school science teacher in the far west suburbs of Chicago. And then I also was an organizer, coach, and judge for Science Olympiad. What is the Innovation Challenge? It's a free 2-part competition for high school and college age students. There'll be 2 parts that you'll be submitting. There's a written submission, and then you'll also participate in an in-person presentation. It's hosted in collaboration between NIU STEAM and the Northern Illinois Center for Community Sustainability, or NICS. And this year's theme is based around agriculture, food, and natural resources. Why participate in an innovative challenge? Today's society, we see problems that occur faster than the solutions that we can devise to solve them. And sometimes these solutions cause problems of their own. And Innovation Challenge allows us to harness the imagination and the critical thinking of younger people in our environment. Innovation Challenges are also arenas where those students can rehearse and practice skills that will allow them to grow through the process of iterations in a lower stakes place. As a team supervisor, you'll have a team of 2 to 4 students that will be able to choose between 2 authentic problems, and your students will come up with a solution using their critical thinking and communication skills. And you will also be paired with industry partners that can act as mentors to help you through the process.
So one of the things that we thought was important as we developed this challenge was to make sure that it meets the criteria for what ISB has outlined for team-based challenges. If you're familiar with these at all, there are a variety of different areas that are targeted. This year, we are focusing on agriculture, food, and natural resources. As Chrissy said, we will have 2 separate problems available to you. You will choose just one of those to provide a solution, but for each, you will see a document similar to this one that has the name of the challenge. You will see the authentic problem that includes real world data, a role for students that actually exists in the real world, and then some type of broad solution statement for them to come up with an answer, so that there's a lot of different ways that they could answer. Also, as outlined by ISB, they'd like us to target 1 to 2 of the essential employability competencies, as well as 1 to 2 of the technical competencies. These particular ones align with the agriculture, food, and natural resources. And then in addition, ISB's outlined options that you can use to create a written solution as well as a presentation solution. And so on this document, which will be available on your landing page, you will see which options are available for your written submission, as well as which options will be available if you move ahead to the presentation portion of the competition. You will also be provided industry partners. Some of them will be from NIU, some of them will be from companies that work within the industries of the problem statements that we have developed.
As we said before, teams will be composed of 2 to 4 students, and there's 2 bands. There's the high school band, which is 9 through 12, or the community college band. More than one team may compete from the same school. However, each team has to have its own unique adult supervisor. If this is a barrier for your specific situation, please reach out and let us know, and we can discuss some options. There'll be a written submission, and there'll be a presented submission. Each team is allowed 1 written submission, and once you submit that, it'll be considered final by NIU. Teams are invited to compete to the presentation portion of the Innovation Challenge. You have to be in person on the campus on Saturday, February 28th, 2026 to participate and pay the $25 entry fee. The fee will be waived for teams that meet requirements to receive bus grants. And Becky will talk more about bus grants later. Upon completion of the event, teams will receive copies of the judges' scoring and any feedback collected. Any feedback or any decisions made by the judges will be considered final and not debatable. And if you win a monetary award, that monetary award has to go to something that benefits your team, whether it's a class or it's a club. Such examples can include science experiment equipment, supportive technology, or experiential learning.
So, as Christina said, we were both classroom teachers for a lot of years. And so we tried really hard to think about what would support feel like if we were still in the classroom and supporting students in this challenge. So, in addition to this virtual information session, we will also have a free professional development day that you, as the sponsor or coach, teacher, whatever role you have at your educational institution, you can come here to NIU and participate in a one-day professional development session that will be related to the 2 authentic problem statements for this year. And ISB professional development credit will be available. If you come to that day, you will also receive giveaways that are related to the curricular resources that we will have available. We will have several options that you could choose to do with your students that are hands-on activities to help them understand some of the background knowledge to be able to come up with a solution to the problem. If you are unable to attend the professional development day, you can still have access to those resources electronically. We will also have mentors available throughout the whole process. Some of them will be content specialists. Some of them will be more specialists in terms of writing support. And then some of them will be more focused on the presentation if you move to that second part of the competition. And then if you do come to that in-person presentation, we will have financial support to help defer the costs. And so lunch and competition t-shirts will be provided, and we will have some bus grants available for schools who meet the criteria for number of students, free and reduced lunch.
Teams who are registered by the deadline will be invited to submit a written solution to one of the 2 problem scenarios, which we will provide for you when you register. You will submit a written answer to the problem or written solution, and the top 10 teams' written solutions in each category, so there's a high school category and a community college category, will be invited to come to campus and present their answers, and we'll talk about what it is that'll look like. And then teams whose written score is lower than the top 10 will not advance to the presentation competition. So as long as you're in the top 10, that's when you will have to do that in-person presentation. Becky talked about the different components that ISB gives us to be able to present the solutions, both written and in person. And we have chosen the formats of blog post, journal entry, infographic, or college career essay. So you can choose from one of those formats to submit your written component. And we will use the rubric to score it, or our judges will use the rubric to score it, and we will provide you with that rubric. And then the top 10 will come here for the presentation component, and teams will choose one presentation format to provide a proposed solution, which again was on that form that Becky had showed you an example of. And the formats that we had chosen were mock debate, public service announcement, news conference, or a sales pitch. So you'll pick one of those formats to present your solution to the judges. Presentation must be 5 minutes or less, and you have the ability to use a student-created video. It has to be student-created to show during the presentation. That video can be shown for up to 3 minutes, but that still counts towards your entire 5 minutes of the presentation. So you'd still have to present for 2 minutes outside of that video. And there's a panel of 3 judges that'll score each team's presentation using the rubric that we'll go ahead and provide to you. And the average of the 3 scores will be used as the final score for the presentation portion of the competition.
Hopefully by this point you are interested in getting a team signed up to join us for this year's Innovation Challenge. So how should you get started? The first thing will be to register your team, and you can access the form to register in a couple different ways. You could use the QR code that's right here on our screen. You could also go to our NIU STEAM website and find the link there. I'll show you how to access that now. So our website is niusteam.niu.edu, and you would want to go here to the Programs and Events tab. And then if you scroll down, you'll see all the things we have upcoming. But there are currently 2 different locations here for the Innovation Challenge. This one on the left is for our next information session. You will want the one over here that's got the entire timeline for our challenge, and you will click I'm interested. And then when you come here, it brings you to the NIU events calendar, which will have all the information about the challenge kind of summarized here. And then if you scroll down, you can use this link here that's at the bottom, or you can also click here at the top where it says register. And that will bring you to a short Microsoft form that's just going to ask you some questions about who you are and what school you work for and things like that. Once you complete that form, then you will receive an email from us about how to access the landing page. This is what our landing page looks like. I just want to point out a couple of things here to you. All right, so Chrissy and I were reading off the rules and regulations document. We were highlighting some of the key things. That full document is listed right here. And then I do also want to highlight this task to complete section. There will be a variety of due dates which are outlined on that rules and regulations document. Once you decide who is on your team and which of the problem scenarios you're going to answer, you will complete this form that's over here. You do need to click here where it says link to form. Unfortunately, these buttons here don't do anything. Okay. There's also a registration form for that free professional development session we talked about, which is on Wednesday, October 29th. And the registration link is here, and the deadline to register is October 22nd. And then last but not least, we do also have a free field trip available that you could choose to bring your students here to campus. For that opportunity, we have PCR and gel electrophoresis equipment that you would be able to use with your students to do an experiment where they learn about antibiotic-resistant bacteria in food systems. The 2 authentic problem scenarios can be accessed here. One of them this year will be about microplastics found in seafood, and the second one will be about antibiotic-resistant bacteria in cattle. As we progress through the different stages of competition this year, any recorded webinars we have and curricular resources will also be available on this page. So next steps after registration would be to decide if you're interested in attending that free PD on October 29th, decide if you're interested in bringing students to campus on November 13th, and then complete those 2 registration forms and review the authentic problem scenarios with your students. And then you can go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for attending this session today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or Chrissy. We are more than happy to help and are here to support you through this process.